In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto. Do itashimashite. Suck my balls, everybody. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Genius Brain. I have my lovely, lovely girlfriend, my partner in crime, my jean jacket patch-wearing lady, Mariel Song in the house.
Hola.
Why? Out of all you speak 4 languages, but you chose to speak a language you don't speak at all.
The last phrase of suck my balls threw me off. So I'm like, hola.
Would you have ever thought that you would have been with somebody like me?
No, never, ever in my life. I never thought you people existed. I thought it was just a
What you mean, you people? What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
Funny, attractive.
Oh, okay. That's not what she thought at all.
No. But
I feel like your ideal version of a guy was actually the complete opposite of me. It was somebody. Remember when we first started going out? I remember you used to tell me about. I don't know if it was a slight to me, but you would always mention, when I was in Taiwan, these guys, they would always open the doors for me.
Oh, totally.
They would just, when it would rain, they would take off their jacket and shield me from the weather. I was like, who are these sons of bitches? Who are these guys?
The guys who love to watch Korean dramas and be that main character, because that's the guy that
and
I
who was
would
that
have.
guy in Taiwan that you were talking about? Who was
Which one?
the one that you said was like super sweet? You had a big crush on him, but nothing ever happened.
Oh yeah, he who was he? I don't know. What did he do?
I don't remember, but I remember you told me he wrote you a letter or something before you left. Or
Oh no, that was in college. Yeah, that was not in Taiwan. That was in,
what was that one then?
which one? The Taiwan?
The college guy.
The college guy? Oh, we're just really good friends, and I was really comfortable with him. It was like my girlfriend. He was like,
oh my god! Oh,
you know what I mean?
oh.
Yeah.
That's such a painful thing to hear as a guy. When a guy hears that the girl that he really, really likes, that he's just infatuated with, goes, "Yeah, you're like one of my girlfriends." Spear to the heart.
Well, he didn't say anything. He was just like, one of the girlfriends. We always hung out together, and I was really comfortable with him, and he was really comfortable with me as well, I guess. But there was no hints of anything. Like, there was no moves.
What do you mean? Like, there was nothing?
No, if there was a sign, then I would have been like, uh-oh, and then maybe we would have talked about it or something. But then it was until the last minute after we graduated where I got this present and a letter, and it was a really sweet letter. But
What did the letter say?
it was like a poem.
What did? Oh God!
I don't know. I don't remember.
Move, buddy. Sweet fucking move, man. The poem.
This was almost 10 years ago, so I don't remember. I just remember it was really sweet, and I was like, uh-oh.
What was the poem about? Was it about how beautiful you are?
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude! Dude, come on, bro.
How beautiful I am, and it was
Mariel Song, I must say, your eyes are like a glitters.
He did not have that kind of accent. It was an indirect message saying
flatters.
of that. Something like that. I remember there was sunshine and...
Sunshine?
Sunshine.
What else did he say about you?
I don't know.
But you didn't fall for that? Why not?
Well,
You just weren't attracted to him?
no, I didn't see him that way, and that was the last time I saw him. Because
He just disappeared off the face of the earth?
Well, we left. After college, we went back home, and we don't live in the same area.
So what? Well, I mean, if you guys were such good friends, how come you guys didn't continue the friendship after that? Did he just feel too embarrassed or what?
No, I mean, I still kept in touch with him, but he on the other hand, didn't. And I figured because...
His heart was broken.
I mean, I don't know. Did I break his heart?
Maybe.
I don't know.
He must have liked you for a while then.
I think so.
Because how long were you guys friends?
For 2 years?
Yeah, he probably liked you for 2 years, and he finally mustered up enough courage to finally talk to you about his feelings.
On the last day before we leave, it's like, well, nothing's going to happen.
Yeah, well, I've known a couple of guys who did that just because they feel like this is my last chance, but they don't really think about what happens if that person says no, right? So in their mind, they've already done so much work to lead up to the yes that the no is not even a possibility. So when they hear the no, they're not prepared for it. Their whole world comes crashing down. Like, I bet you it feels like they're in a cave, right? And they see this exit, this bright light. And as they're walking towards it, suddenly it's you with that cartoon detonator with the dynamite, and you just go, and then the whole cave starts crashing down.
Or maybe he just knew that it wasn't going to work out. He just had to let it out somehow. You know?
Yeah, probably not though, because he wrote you a poem, and it wasn't about, and there wasn't him saying like in the poem. I'm pretty sure it didn't end with, and if you say no, I'll still love you forever, my little petunia. No, it was, I'm putting my heart on the line, and if you crush it, I'm gonna die and disappear from the face of this earth.
He didn't ask me if it was a yes or no, though.
Of course, because you're a little pussy. That's why.
I know way. Yeah, but that was not the Taiwan guy. So, how did we come around there?
The Taiwan guy was, I just remember you talked about him like he was like the epitome of the nice, of a gentleman.
He was such a
fuck
gentleman.
that guy.
He was such a gentleman. He was always taking care of me. You know, I mean, it's just.
But he liked you too, though, right?
I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe. I'm not sure. Because he was dating someone.
Oh, was he?
But it was weird because that girl was taking care of me very well too. And I didn't know if this was like a Taiwanese thing or I don't know.
So you liked the guy with the girl that you knew?
No, I didn't know her. She was new in the group. So we hung out, and then later on found out that he was dating someone. And then she came around to attend this event, and she was taking so many photos of us. No joke, 500 plus. 500 plus, I would get this huge message. And I'm like, who is this?
Why is she taking photos of you guys?
She was just taking photos of the event and us and everything, but specifically me. And it was weird.
Maybe she was doing research about the girl that's trying to take her man away.
I don't know. She didn't last.
What would have happened if you got together with that guy?
I probably would have stayed there.
You probably would have stayed there longer?
Yeah. I probably would have stayed. Maybe. I don't know. Because my intention wasn't to stay there forever. But, you know, it didn't happen for a reason. And I came back home a lot sooner than I expected for a reason. And, you know.
I feel like your perception of what a relationship was or what a guy was really skewed when I first met you. Like,
I didn't meet anyone like you before. That's why. It was always that kind of guy. Those kind of guys were always around me.
Bunch of bitches.
Sweet guys. Remember, quote of your day is, what would Dan do?
No, that's different. See, for you, it's because like when I first met you, like you had your perception of a guy was very interesting. I feel like it was highly influenced due to all those Disney movies that you watched.
Not Disney movies.
But I really do feel that way. Or Korean dramas. It was like Korean dramas. And these guys do not exist.
I know that.
You know what I mean? A lot of people are very good at putting up a front. A lot of people. And you know this too. So Mariel actually told me the story back in the day where her mom tried to set her up with this guy. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Right. And this story was so interesting because it was very indicative of a lot of these guys that I saw at church. So in the Korean culture, or I just feel like any type of culture anyways, or
any conservative culture.
Conservative culture, exactly. So the people are very good at putting up front. So especially in a church setting, if you went to a Korean church, all of these kids in front of the parents would be the sweetest angels you've ever met in your life, right? So these dudes, they would insa very well. So like greet parents, 안녕하세요, you know, whatever, do all that other crap. And their parents would talk up their children as well because they're not going to talk shit about their kids. They're going to say, my son, Peter Kim, he's going to be a doctor. He's studying really hard. He's really handsome. And they try to, and they try to match up their kids with other kids. And so Mariel's mom consistently tried to put Mariel with one of these Korean kids. So these Korean dudes, albeit when you first meet them, are very likable in the sense of if you look at their stats.
Yeah.
They have everything that you want out of a future son-in-law. But what happens is when they're not in front of their parents, their true colors show. So what happened when you went on a date with this guy that your mom set you up with?
So apparently it's through my aunt actually.
Oh, your aunt. Okay.
Yeah. She introduced this guy to my mom saying that, you know, he is a praise band lead. He's very dedicated to church. He's a really sweet guy. And, you know, he got everything else. I don't know. He has like a great job, whatever. And it'll be perfect for Mariel. And so my mom's like, okay, let's set them up. So the guy was supposed to pick me up at my place. He did. His car He brought his, I don't know, Toyota or Infinity car. I go inside and the first thing I smell is cigarette. Really bad cigarette stain smell. And I hate that smell. I hate it so much. And it was like this car that was about to break down. And he was like, oh, sorry, I'm like 30 minutes late, blah, blah, blah. I was like, whatever, this is already going down the hill for me. He's like, so let's go to like a bar or something. And there's no bar near my hometown. So I was asking him, a bar? He's like, oh, there's this place called Good Times. Good Times is this janky Korean bar that's usually for high school kids because people can't, if you're under 21? Yeah, under 21, you can't go to bars, so they allow high school kids to go inside here.
Yeah.
It's no longer there, I think. I think it closed down.
Of course, for a good reason.
Yeah, but he likes going there, so he asked me to go there, and that was my first time ever going to that place. I hate that place. And we sit down, and the first thing he does, he says, I'm going to get out my cigarette, and let's drink. And I was so confused because my aunt told me and my mom told me that, oh, this is like this really sweet, Christian guy who's apparently supposed to be an angel. And straight up, he tells me, he's like, I bet your aunt told me that I'm an angel, but really I'm not. I'm like this. And
he's trying to be Mr. Cool Guy.
Yeah.
Huh? And let me tell you something, baby. I know all these other people out here saying that I'm like this goody two-shoes, but I smoke cigarettes.
He was an oppa.
Oh, he was one of those dudes, yeah.
I looked at it, I was like, this is so
fucking
pathetic.
Loser.
I was like, two things I hate is that you, first of all, smoke. I hate that smell. And second, you're trying to be this cool oppa that I hate.
Yeah.
It's like, I like the cool oppa who takes me, on a hike or whatever, but not cigarette and soju. I hate that.
Yeah.
And so obviously he didn't know that. And I was just playing on with him. I was like, fine, whatever, I'll have you, pay for my lunch. It was daytime too. It doesn't help that.
He's drinking during the daytime? What the fuck?
Yeah, he was like, Dad, this is what I do. I know I'm all angel at church, but really, like, I.
Oh, so he was actually saying that to impress you. So he was trying to say that to get you to like him. It's like, yo, I know, like, I'm actually a bad boy. Sometimes I get B- on my test. Sometimes I even dare to get a C+, and I'm like, Oma, I don't care. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. To be honest, at that time, I was like,
Jesus.
this is not the type of guy I want to date. But for my aunt and my mom's sake, I was like, all right, I'll just have like a decent lunch with him and then bounce. And so we did that, went back home, and I told my mom, I was like, I don't like this guy. Mm-hmm. Actually, I don't think I even mentioned it to her because I didn't want her to bug me about it. And I felt bad for my aunt because they don't know what kind of guy he is, clearly. And I didn't want to ruin that for people. It's like, it's none of my business. So later on, he did call me back. He's like, hey, let's hang out again. Like, I guess he liked me. So he kept calling and calling. And I got to the point where I was like, I don't want to hang out with you. And he told my aunt, and my aunt told my mom, and my mom called me back angry. She was so mad that I would not go out with him again.
Because she was like, that's the perfect kid.
Yeah. She said, this guy is super sweet and nice, and he's an angel, and he's a good Christian guy. Why wouldn't you go out with him again? And I was so mad at my mom because she wouldn't listen to me. I was like, Mom, I don't like this guy. He's not my type. Can you please leave me alone?
How come you didn't tell her about the whole cigarette and him getting drunk during the daytime?
Yeah, at first I didn't. And then I told her, I was like, Mom, you want to know why I don't like this guy? And I told her the reasons. Mm-hmm. She did not believe me.
Oh, really?
She thought I was lying to her.
Have you talked to her? Wait, hold on. Did you tell her about this recently? Like,
No.
You should talk to her about it now and tell her about it.
A couple years ago, it was brought up, and I told my mom, I was like, do you remember that time, my mom, that you almost kicked me out because of that guy? She almost kicked me out of the house because she thought I was lying to her.
It's because, Korean people, they're so extreme.
But I think she found out later on that
course.
I was telling the truth because she said, right, 맞아. I was like, and then I told her, I was like, after that, you never asked me to go on 소개팅 again. And she said, yes. She did not fight back. She's like, 맞아. So I was really glad.
Of course, because she probably felt really guilty,
Oh, man.
But that kind of sucks.
I felt so betrayed.
Of course, because it sucks as a kid when you go through something that was a terrible experience, right? And then
I thought he was going to kidnap me. I was so young. This old man who's so dark.
How old was he?
He was in his late 20s. I was in my early 20s.
Okay.
Like,
So it's
just turned 21.
So probably like an 8-year difference or something
yeah,
like that.
and he looks so dark and like, gross.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing too. I think like just to go back to what I was saying, it sucks when in that case too, for you anyways, you were actually shielding your mom from this thing because you wanted to save her from the embarrassment.
Yeah.
And then even after you did something like that and you're doing it from the goodness of your heart and you finally confided in her about this horrible experience that you had, she took the side of the other guy without taking your side, and you're her daughter.
Yeah.
And that probably hurt you a lot.
Yeah.
And that happens a lot, I feel like, in Asian families, just because sometimes it's not even about, I should take the side of my child. It's more like, I don't want to look dumb. So I think like that's the instant reaction is they get hyper defensive. We do that too. I do it too sometimes, even in our relationships. And I was mentioning this before on a JK News episode where I'm not sure if you notice this, and I'm pretty sure you do. There are times when I'm so damn wrong, I will never say that I'm wrong, but like a guilty dog, I just won't look you in the eye.
Yeah.
I'll just go, what?
Yeah.
And I'm just
what are you talking about?
I'm like, look, I start looking off into the distance. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And you're like, look at me. I'm like, what? What's going on?
Every night.
I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm looking up at the ceiling, trying to read like all the designs.
And you're like, you're stupid. I don't know what you're talking about. And you're looking at your phone the whole time.
It's like, oh crap. Because in my head, I'm like this, I'm so wrong, but I refuse to tell her. I'm like,
stubborn. You and my mom, Aries, I'm telling you.
No, that doesn't mean shit.
Anyway, but my mom is a great mom regardless.
No, like I'm saying, like she did everything from the goodness of her heart because she wanted you to find somebody really nice. And the crappy thing about that is too, like I don't understand why Korean parents don't get this. Like they purport this thing like they're so wise, they know everything about the world, but they can't even assess a human being that's going to their church that they see every day. Like they don't see it. They almost refuse to see it. They're like in denial.
My mom actually never met that guy. So I'm wondering if she did see him, she would have had a second thought because she's pretty good at judging people.
Yeah.
So she just heard everything from my aunt, and my aunt is an angel. She sees everyone as good people.
Yeah.
So that doesn't help.
I feel like when your mom first met me, she didn't like me.
I think my mom was shocked. She's like, what is this big guy?
I feel like she didn't like
super loud. I don't know. When was the first time you guys met?
At the funeral, at your grandma's funeral. I think she expected somebody different, and she expected somebody with a different career path. So
yeah, I think that was a shock for her.
Yeah.
Like, she probably never thought I'd be with a comedian.
Yeah.
Me too.
But that was the weird thing too, because I think your mom's a very sweet person, but your mom is actually very different from all of her other sisters. So your mom's sisters, your aunts, were way more welcoming than your mom was. So when I first met your mom, I was like, oh, she doesn't really like me because your aunts really like me.
My aunts are more family, like they have warmer hearts, if that makes sense. My mom is more, she's like a cat. You gotta warm up to her.
Yeah.
She's really sweet.
She likes me now. I mean, something happened recently, but I don't know what it is. But the last couple of times that we hung out, she's been way more open, way just different.
Yeah.
But
you just gotta warm up to her.
It only took 4 years.
It only took 4 years. Hey, but we made it. I'm sure she saw that, us being together for 4 years. She realized maybe there is something, Because a lot of the times though, like anything that I decide to do or choose, she's always having a second thought about my decision. And I think, I'm an only child.
But you never brought a boy home before, So, like did you?
Not for my mom per se, yeah.
Did you bring a boy home to your dad?
No, I brought boys, but she never liked them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She would have been like girls who dressed up like boys.
Well, you did dress up like a boy, though.
I know. I don't know. She's a word woman,
Yeah, it's weird too because I don't know why I feel like this, but being a Korean American and I wasn't born here, right? So, and I kind of grew up in a very Korean household, and this could just be an anecdotal experience that I've had with Korean people, but I feel like Korean people are they're very socially conscious in the sense of they put up their best face for everybody else in the world, and that kind of affects how they move in life. Right. But the problem with that I've had with a lot of Korean people, especially even with me dealing with in business situations with Korean people, they're very good at being likable. So they're very good at insaing, like,
selling themselves out.
Yeah, they're very good at selling themselves, right? But what they say to your face versus what they say behind your back or what they're going to do tends to be really different.
Yeah.
And this is, like I said, this is not bashing on Korean people in general, but I think it has to do culturally. If I try to think about it culturally speaking and historically, like we've come from a very like Joe and I were talking about this, how Korea came from. The Korean War wasn't that long ago for us.
Yeah.
Right. We were devastated, and culturally speaking and historically speaking, we've had a very, very sad history.
Yeah.
So we're always fighting to be on top.
Yeah.
So we're always in like survival mode.
Yeah.
And I feel like culturally that's just a part of us. And sometimes when you're in survival mode, you're not really thinking about the relationships that you're carrying with people.
Yeah.
So all they're thinking about is if I don't get on top,
Yeah.
then I'm going to be on the bottom.
Yeah.
And that's their only mentality that they have. But along that way, you burn a lot of bridges.
Yeah.
And I've dealt with that with a lot of Korean people. So I'm thinking like, if this is something that's consistent about my people or the Korean people that I've been around, there's probably something a little deeper to this.
Yeah.
Right. And it's happened to me quite frequently. So now I'm getting to the point where it doesn't feel like coincidence anymore.
It's unfortunate because, I mean, I used to live in Korea when I was in elementary years. And even back then, it was like maybe in the late 90s. It was a third world country. Like nothing was happening over there. Like we didn't have any fashion. There was no fashion, no like big companies that was running around. It was super developing country. And then, boom, 10 years later, it's like all of a sudden like, oh, Japan is following Korean fashion.
It's crazy, huh?
It's crazy how much it changed, and it changed so fast that kind of like, what's happening in China is like the boom is happening so fast that the culture and the people cannot catch up to it. And I think Korea had that moment too, and it's a lot better right now, but we still have that something called ok, that urge to like be the best, be better, or else.
And Han,
Han, fire.
Yeah.
And if we don't do that, if we don't succeed it, then we fail.
Yeah, it feels like everything.
It's one or the other.
Everything will be sacrificed in order to achieve this goal.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you do that, it goes back to burning bridges, and it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And that's the sad part. And my dad has gotten burned from a lot of people. Like I've told the story where my dad back in this day, first of all, if I ever see this lady, this Ajima, I'm going to kick her in her fucking stomach. So so we had this business. My parents owned a beauty supply store. We still own two. So didn't grow up with a lot of money. And when I was younger, we were very, very, very poor. Super poor. But after a while, the business started to pick up. So I'm talking about, I remember as a kid, like small little glimpses of our store. When we first opened our beauty supply store, everything was on cardboard boxes. We couldn't even afford the shelves to put the products on. That's how poor we were. So we just put all of our stuff displayed on the cardboard boxes that our supplies came in. And I remember what that store looked like at that time as a young kid. And then when we started making more money, we started buying shelves, we started organizing things to the best that we could. Later on, there was a store called Lord Tony's Artistic Fingers. He's a hairstylist, owned that whole thing, but he went to jail, got back out again. But eventually we took over that store and we expanded the store out. And then Lord Tony's back now. Shout out to Lord Tony. Guy's a slick dude. I remember since I was a kid. Really cool guy. But I forgot what he went to jail for. But our business started doing better. And then we opened up a second store. And when we opened up that second store during high school, I had to run that store with my aunt, my uncle, and me. So after school, I didn't really have much of a high school like life. If I wanted a life, I had to wake up in the middle of the night, break the window, go out, ditch, and then hang out with my friends super late at night. So because I was working all the time. So after school, I would go and run a business, our second business. So during this time, my dad, there was a couple of things that happened that he just decided that he wanted to let go of that business. It was just way too much work because my dad was going through seminary school because he wanted to be a pastor as well. So he was just juggling so many things. He had to deal with me, my brother, 2 stores, and also going to seminary school in order to get his master's in divinity or some shit like that. I can't remember. Decides to give up the store. There was this lady who owned this hamburger shop, went to our church, and her business was going down. She was crying about it. She confided in my father about it. She came over to our house like every Sunday, and we did worship together. Her daughter actually tutored me. And my father decided that, hey, I'm going to let go of the store. And because she was crying to my father so much about wanting to stay in this country, she can't stay afloat and make money here. She's probably going to have to go back to Korea and try to figure out what she's going to do over there. So my dad was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to let go of the store. And they had such a good relationship. My dad decided to sell her the store for half of what it was worth. So he goes, you could run the store. We have it functioning. The system's good. Just give up that store, and then whatever you're going to make off of that, give me that money, and then you could take the rest of the store.
What?
So my dad gave her that store for half of what it was worth, maybe even less.
Your mom was okay with that?
Yeah, she was okay with it. They decided. So, because we were really close to them. So this lady takes the store. The moment she takes it, behind my parents' back, she puts it back out for market for the original value that it was worth. She takes that money, pockets it, and then goes to Korea.
No.
Yeah. Doesn't even tell my father. I'm talking about this lady.
How does she even know how to do that?
She's a snake.
Oh my freaking God.
So
No one saw that coming?
Nobody saw it. I didn't see it coming because I literally saw this lady at least once or twice a week. And she was so sweet and so nice to us. And then my dad was like, yo, what the fuck? And
does she have a family?
She has a daughter. I remember her daughter went to Emory University. I forgot where that shit is, but it's supposed to be like a really highly accredited university. But I thought her daughter was super sweet, and she tried to tutor me. I was dumb as fuck. Didn't really work out, but that's what her mom did. And
oh my gosh.
I still remember that till this day. And she's living in Korea doing whatever now, but she literally took that store, sold it, flipped it, and took the money and moved to Korea. So, for me too, like I didn't, because of like these type of experiences, I think my father has a lot of trouble trusting people, and he's very skeptical about relationships. Yeah. And this isn't just like something that's happened to him once. It's happened to him 2 or 3 times now. It's because my father is a very loving person and a very kind person. So despite all these stories that I tell you about my dad beating my ass and whatever, aside from that kind of stuff, if you look at him as a whole, as a human being, he has always tried to help people out. Yeah. And I accredit that to him, giving his life to God. And so for him, it's about giving constantly. But the problem about giving, or the risk that you take, I want to say problem, the risk that you take about being a giving human being is the fact that you also have to understand that there's a high probability that people will not care about you as much as you care about them. That's facts.
Yeah.
When you give and give and give, you also have to let go of the fact that you can't expect that person to give you that same type of generosity. When you give out of the goodness of your heart. Yeah. Not to say that when bad things happen to you, you're not going to get burned, it's going to hurt. Because for my dad, this was somebody that was a really close family friend. Like I remember when they would go visit her at the store, say hi, my parents would just buy like burgers and fish and chips from her because that's what they sold, burgers and fish and chips. My parents would just buy it for us to eat. And it wasn't my favorite burger on earth, but they did that
just
to support
to
help out. So they would buy all these fish and chips.
Oh man, if I see that lady too.
But you know what I'm saying? And this is the type of experience that I've had with just like certain Korean people.
I mean, not everyone's like that, but it is common because, to be honest, that's not the first time I heard that story. Yeah. I think the way my mom is the way she is because she has seen that a lot too. And all the churches that we have attended. That's why she's skeptical when she sees people who are kind of outside of the character or who are very to that stereotype. Yeah.
It's hard too because, and once again, if you don't know any Korean people, don't this is not for you to use as a basis to judge people like in my culture.
Yeah. There's the good culture and there's also the bad, and we're just talking about that.
This is like this 5% that I've ever met, and I'm kind of thinking back on it now, and it kind of reminds me of just historically speaking, like how down and out we were, and how we're still in that survival mode. Yeah. Trying to come out on top. Not so much just to fuck people over. It's just because there's this fear that we're going to be poor against, because we didn't grow up with a lot. So if I don't go ahead and take care of myself, who is? So, I'm trying to find it in my heart to forgive this lady. And mind you, it's been about 15 years, but just to see my parents go through that, it makes me think of this lady and I get angry. I get frustrated,
But, there's always something called karma, and God gives you the reward of what you've done. And look at where you are now. Yeah. And look where your parents are. You could support them. Your brother can support them. They have 2 successful sons. Think about how, in one way, it's so sad that mom, think about that daughter. Yeah. What kind of mom she has. Yeah. It's like so unfortunate that her mom had to do such thing to be in that survival mode. Yeah. Whereas you guys, if you guys were like super poor, none of you guys had that kind of bad idea.
It sucks too because even for that girl, her daughter, she probably doesn't even know. She'll never know, right?
Perhaps, yeah.
I've even had situations where this was another different situation, but I'm not going to get too into it. But I had a conversation with his parents. Basically, fucked over my parents, right? This was another situation I'll talk about another time, but. He was asking, hey, so how come your parents don't really like kick it with my parents anymore? Like what happened? Like your parents are like super distant. Like I don't know what like the disrespect's about. And I was like, what do you mean the disrespect? He goes, because we're cool. Like we hang out and everything's fine, but our parents, like whenever my parents invite your parents out, like they never want to come out to eat. And I was like, well, first of all, dude, number one, your parents haven't invited us out to eat or hang out in years. So if they're telling you that, that's not even true. I was like, and he goes, well, that's what my parents say. I was like, bro, you don't even talk to your parents. I talk to my mom every day. You don't even speak Korean. So what the fuck do you know? I was like, second of all, do you know why they stopped talking to each other? It's because your parents were stealing money from my parents. Yeah. So it's you know, it's like some shit like that. And so, and for him, he was like, what do you mean? And I kind of broke everything down and he was shocked, you know, and he talked to his parents about it. And they didn't really deny it, you know? So he was like, oh shit, I didn't know. I'm like, I'm not telling you that you should hate your parents for it. I don't know what was going on at that time that they felt that they had to do that shit. Yeah. But, you know, it's kind of odd that they would say that we're ignoring them. So why would they go out of their way to make my parents look bad again?
It's the easiest way out.
Yeah, they don't. You know? They just don't want to deal with that.
Yeah,
you know, and
they don't want to shame.
And I'm in a place now where I can honestly just try to look at the bigger picture and say, There has to be a reason for why people behave a certain way. And for him, it was a shock. And he wasn't even in denial of it just because the facts were there. Like I could tell him like, the only reason why I know this is because I'm the one who found out. Yeah. And it's none of my business. But if I can find out, because things just weren't adding up. Yeah. And I found out that this was happening. And so they just had a huge falling out, you know? And so it's hard for kids to see their parents in that type of light.
Of course.
And maybe, I don't know. Like it's just difficult, you know. And my father too, even with the church that he went to, there was a church out in Korea. I'm sorry, in Korea. There's a church out in Sacramento that we started back in the day. Remember, I told you I wanted to be a youth minister. So this story is fucking crazy, man. So I wanted to be a youth minister really bad. This is during a time I really didn't know what I wanted to do. Aside, you know, and I was still doing comedy. I was still doing music, but I was at this church, and it was a church that my father started up with one of his close friends. My father didn't take a single dime from this church, and long story short, what actually ended up happening was that this guy actually stole money from all the church members. And my father was very skeptical of this guy, and he didn't have any of his like credentials. So my dad, they allowed him to work at the church. They liked who the guy was. And my father kept asking him, hey, by the way, before we continue, can you show us all the stuff that you did or your credentials or your degrees or whatever that it is? And he just kept dodging it over and over and over. And my dad had a really bad feeling about it. And eventually they just came to head where the relationship started becoming really negative. And this is a church that my father started. And by the way, my dad didn't take a single dime from this church because we had our own business. And so my dad decided to leave. He goes, you know what? I don't want to deal with this. Like, this isn't really worth it for me. You know, good luck on everything that you're doing. And then I was still working at the church, but my dad told me to still stay at the church because the kids needed me. So I stayed for another 2 years. So when I left that church, I found out through Ray, and Ray's parents told Ray, like, hey, like I heard David left the church with on a very bad note. And I was like, what do you mean I left on a bad note? I was like, what do you mean? And he goes, yeah, they said that the head pastor said that when you left that church, you and him got into a huge argument. You started cursing him out and you left. And I was like, wait, hold on a second. I was like, who said that? Oh, he said, that's what my parents said. And that's the rumor that was going on at the church after I left. I was like, that's not what happened at all. When I left, they got me a cake. They got me a goodbye cake.
Of course. In front.
Like I was crying. Kids were crying. It was such an emotional thing. And even after I left the church, weeks, he kept calling me, asking me to come back to the church. Weeks. And the reason why I left is because I wanted to go into a different career path. Yeah. I found out that working at the church wasn't for me. And on top of that, I was doing so much for the church and they were paying me like $300 a month and I couldn't live off of it. While I was going to school, I couldn't do it. And so I decided to leave. And so he just started talking shit about me after I left.
It just shows how weak that guy was. How he was so weak that he had to make things up to cover up his weakness. And then behind the scene, he had to break down, be the weak guy in front of you.
When I found that out, I was so pissed because I gave up so much of my life to that church. Even after my father left, I gave my life to that church. Yeah. And I was so pissed that he would do that he would go out of his way to make myself look bad. To make him look good.
Exactly.
And so and this only goes back to my father saying, where friendship is friendship, business is business. Where is the proof that you've done all this stuff? And he didn't show up with any of that stuff. And so my father, after he decided to leave, and I already left at this point, I found out later on, Ray told me that he actually borrowed like money from the church. I forgot what the money was. It was like 30 or 50K. He bounced and he moved back to Chicago and took all the money from the church, a church that was already struggling.
That's just
fucking trash, dude.
Yeah. I'm sure karma has gotten into him too, but
and you know what? I met his daughter. Fuck his ugly ass daughter. He had the ugliest girl I've ever seen in my life. I don't even care. She looked like her face got ran over by a truck and was reassembled like a Mr. Potato Head in the wrong way. Fuck that girl.
In one way, this is not like a Korean thing. I think it's just humans.
This is not a Korean thing. This is just people. Greed.
It's just humans, greed, and then, taking advantage of nice people. I mean, we have so many nice and kind people, and they're always getting taken advantage of because of people like that, because they just want the money, or they're scared, or they know that they're weak, and they just, backstab their friends.
And my dad, because he's had such terrible experiences with people, I think his spider senses go up a bit. And so for him, he's just going down the checklist. He's like, okay, well, this guy says he's this person, but he can't just say, I have 6 degrees in whatever, blah, 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 blah. I have a master's in divinity, all this other stuff. I worked at this church, whatever that. Cool. You can say that as much as you want. Show us the proof. Yeah. And then we'll pay you whatever you want. And he's just like, oh, I don't have it. Oh, I don't understand why we need it.
Yeah, your dad's smart. He learned his lessons from it,
Exactly.
But he's still kind. That's the good part, is that usually when people go through those experiences, they become this, this mean person. They turn into someone else that they're not. But if you're strong enough, then you still be kind.
Yeah, my dad's a very kind person. I think
he's really sweet.
What I find to be very sad is that I think that it also kind of made him, I don't know, not trusting towards new relationships and new friendships because of it. Because he gave and gave so much. Yeah. And I don't think my dad, the one thing that he did make a mistake was he wasn't very smart with his friendships in terms of how much he gave. Right? And it's a double-edged sword. Yeah. You have to take that risk. And then I think it just kind of wore on my dad's heart a lot. And till this day, like that's something that he's probably going to deal with for the rest of his life. Right? Yeah. Because even for me, when I get screwed over, because my father, it happened to my dad so much, and he warned me so much about it, I was able to dodge a majority of it.
And you have a very different personality than your dad. Your dad's very, you're very out there, say what you want, but I think your dad's a little bit more conservative in terms of that.
Oh, for sure. He's definitely a lot smarter. He's a lot smarter.
I think the personality too, for him, that's just because of his personality, it's harder for him to be out there. And
because my mom is very skeptical. I'm more like my mom than I am my dad.
But your mom's still very outgoing, very out there,
Yeah.
I love your mom.
She's very
like
sweet.
One of my aunts. I love her so much.
My mom is very much, I'm very much like my mom. Yeah. Like I have all of her great qualities and all of her bad qualities too. Like the temper, the being super loud, kind of obnoxious. Like that's my mom too.
She's funny.
Yeah, she's super funny.
Caring.
Very caring. Loves to cook.
Big heart.
I think like my mom and I are, I'm definitely a reflection of my mother to the max. Right? And it's weird too because I see it now, and when I look back, it's I couldn't really see it when I was younger. I couldn't see it. Like I thought my mom was really annoying. When you're a kid, like you just don't want to be around your parents.
Yeah.
But what I found out when I got older was that we're twins.
Yeah.
And it's so funny that I didn't like somebody that was just like me.
Yeah.
We're exactly the same. Like even to this day, we still talk every day. We're laughing, we're joking on the phone 24/7. And it's like talking to one of my best friends.
It's one of the best traits you have too.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I think if you weren't close to your mom and you don't speak Korean, it would have been really hard to stay with you. Those are the big factors that
I didn't think I was going to be with a Korean girl though.
I didn't think I was going to be with a Korean guy, especially a Korean guy who has a huge temper.
But you're so ethnocentric though. Like I'm surprised you wouldn't think you would be with a Korean guy. You speak Korean so much.
I do, but I wanted a guy who wasn't Korean but can speak Korean. Like Chinese.
That's not possible.
Korean. Yeah, it's possible.
How?
I met a lot of people in Taiwan who spoke Korean, but they weren't Korean.
Yeah, but they speak Korean constantly though, don't they?
No. They just learn, just like how I learned another language, they learn that language.
Yeah, but you speak those languages constantly. That's what I'm saying.
Like I want to find, someone like, do you know Ryan? Remember Ryan?
Yeah.
Jesus? Someone like that, but who could speak Korean. you know.
Ryan speaks Mandarin all the time, though. Is what I'm saying. So how can you find that Korean guy that knows Korean but doesn't speak Korean all the time? Because Ryan, he arguably probably speaks more Mandarin now than he does English.
Probably. But he understands both languages and he understands both culture. You know? So
that's one of the more difficult. I don't know how that's going to happen.
I know. I don't know. But, you know, I just didn't have great experiences with Korean guys. So I thought I wouldn't. But here we are with 2 Koreans.
Yeah, that speaks Korean consistently. Mm-hmm. It's weird because my Korean isn't very good conversationally, I think.
You understand much better than you speak. So
Oh, for sure.
that's why,
Because I don't know how to speak
Properly.
and formally very well. Like I could talk to my mom very easy.
Yeah.
You know, just because we're so casual with it. But if I speak to your parents, I have to second guess everything that I'm saying because I'm like, that's not right. That's very disrespectful. We're not the same age. You know, but that's how my mom talks.
Yeah.
So, and she doesn't correct me.
That's what you could practice with me. I'm not good at it either. I mean, I do the basic stuff. I know a little bit better than you, but
No, your Korean's really good.
if I go out to like Korean office or business, I would suck.
Yeah, but it's still better than mine. If I go into a professional Korean setting, I'm fucked.
That's why we should practice.
I don't want to.
Okaeri. Oh, that's
Okaeri.
Japanese. That's Japanese. But, you know, that's why we practice together. It's
Yeah?
fun. Yeah. Don't worry. Little by little, you'll learn.
It's hard though. I think languages too, in order to be really good at a language, like you have to practice it
Practice,
consistently.
Yep.
And you never do it. You're always so shy about it. I don't understand that.
I do it with you, but you never do it with me.
No, you're not supposed to do it with me though. You're supposed to do it with somebody who speaks Japanese. When you were living at that apartment and there was that Japanese family,
yeah.
you had so many opportunities just to speak Japanese with them and you didn't do it.
But they always talk to me. You know, it's like one of those things where it's like you want to use it, but you know that they want to use English. It's one of those.
No, but you could just start a conversation. It's like, hi, like, you know, just sit. If you had a conversation with them, right? And you spoke, I feel like I spoke to them on a conversation level, like English wise, more than you did. Because every time I saw them, I talked to them all the time.
I talk to the kids. I talk to the girl. And I talk to her in Japanese too. She would come up and she'd be like, you know, what did she say? I don't know. She would look in my room and she'd be like, I forget what she said. See, it's like this. It's like if you don't practice enough, your confidence goes down and then you start second guess before you say it.
Yeah, but see, you just never did it because you were so. I don't know why you were so embarrassed.
I don't know. It's that thing. You lose your confidence. Because before, like when I came back from Taiwan, like all I was able to do was speak Chinese. It just came out so naturally, and people would be shocked at like how fluent I was.
Yeah,
and that's because I used to use it all the time. But years go by, I don't use it, and I can't even say like. I don't
but
know,
see, if I even knew the amount of Japanese that you had, I would try to speak it all the time. That's why even when I go to Korean restaurants, I know these people can understand English, but I'll try to speak Korean as much as I can. Even though my Korean is substantially worse than yours, I still try to speak Korean as much as I can. But for you, you're afraid of looking dumb.
I don't know what it is. I'm just shy, yeah.
Like you gotta.
Not dumb, but like just shy.
About what though?
I don't know. I mean, but if I go to Japan, I use it because I have to.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying, you could just take that same confidence and just put it over here. You had 2 years of an opportunity to speak with this Japanese family as much as you could. And if you talked to them and you got to know them and you said, hey, like I actually lived in Japan, blah, 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 and I would love to just, speak to you in Japanese if we could just practice. They would have loved to do that. They were the sweetest family on earth. Sweetest.
Well, next time that opportunity comes.
That little girl spoke to me in Japanese. I didn't know what the hell she was saying.
Yeah, she was talking in Japanese. It was so cute. And we actually had a decent conversation. And I'm like, okay, I could talk to little kids.
Oh my God, dude.
Whatever. Leave me alone. You wouldn't even talk to me in Japanese. I'd be like, hey, let's practice. And I tell you something, you're like, oh, this is too hard. And you give up on it so fast.
It's because when we're doing it late at night, and you know what? You actually recently got a taste of what I do during the daytime. And now you understand why my brain is fried.
It's not late at night. We do it in the daytime. I'd be like talking to you randomly, in Japanese.
Fine, do it right now. And let's do some Japanese right now.
What do you say when I say tadaima?
You say, oh crap.
We just said
What does it start with? Okaeri.
There you go. And then I say itekimasu, and you say, what's itekimasu?
When you come?
No, I said that's
Itekimasu when I leave.
Yeah.
And I go, shabu shabu desu.
Itterashai.
Oh, itterashai. Itekimasu is what you say to me.
When you leave. So let's just say you're leaving. Mm-hmm. What do you say?
I'm leaving?
Yeah.
I say, Itakimasu.
Yes. And I say, itterashai.
Itterashai. I gotta just write this down. I gotta write it down and then constantly use it back and forth. Saminikura desu.
I guess you could use that. Sure, why not?
Yeah, see? Speak to me in Japanese right now.
See, this just blanks out. I don't know what to talk
See, you're getting
about.
nervous.
I don't know what to talk about. I just blank out.
You can say, I don't know what to talk about. I just blank out.
I know. そうだね。日本語が口から出てないからさ。何がいいかな。
はい。
はいってさ、どういう意味？だったら、これ終わって何したらいい？
Oh, that's so cool.
ショッピングするか。
Yes. はい。
ショッピングってわかる？
ショッピングでわかる？
Yeah.
はい。わかります。
내가 뭐라 했어 지금?
What?
내가 뭐라 했어?
You said わかる means understand. Shopping means shopping.
There you go. What did I say then? これ終わってショッピングするか。
これ終わってショッピングするか。I have no idea. See, I could, because I took Japanese for 3 years and then tried learning it after. If somebody speaks to me in Japanese, I can pick up words. I just don't know the words that combine or connect things together.
Grammars.
Grammar. So if somebody says a sentence to me, right, I can generally pick up what they're saying to me.
Yeah.
You know, just because of whatever 3 years, it gets stuck in your head for a while.
Yeah.
You know, that's why when you speak to me in Japanese, sometimes I can respond back to you in English, but I don't know how to respond.
I'm like that too, because we don't practice.
I'm going to be fluent in Japanese.
That's why I'm trying to practice with you, because you keep telling me you're going to be fluent in Japanese. I'm like, perfect, let's practice. 練習しないとできないじゃん。
練習 means study?
練習. Yes. Practice.
Practice.
Yeah. 勉強 is to study.
勉強。
勉強しないと全然できないよね。そういうこと。以上です。Okay. See, I end up talking to myself.
That's perfect.
That's what I do.
You talk to yourself anyways.
I know. I need a partner to talk to. I can only go so far by myself.
You've changed a lot. You've changed so much
What do
since
you
I
mean?
first met you.
What do
You
you
used to be
mean?
so confident in your Japanese.
I am confident in my Japanese. Ish.
Ish.
I mean, it's been so many years. Even back then when I just met you, that's when I was pretty confident with my Chinese, because I used both languages in Taiwan. Because I was working the international studies.
Yeah.
But that's already over 5 years since.
Yeah.
5 years is what? Half a decade? Half a decade of no practice?
That's true.
You know?
You know what I just thought about the other day too? I thought about the when we first started going out, how you really hated PDA. And I'm not a big PDA person either, but what you considered PDA was so ridiculous. Like, she wouldn't let me hold her hand, which was so odd.
Oh, yeah. You know why?
Why?
It didn't help the fact that I lived in Asia for so long.
What do you mean?
PDA is not a thing in Asia.
What are you talking about? I see dudes hold hands out in Asia. In Korea, like dudes are holding each other's hands in Korea.
Korea's a little bit more okay with PDA because couple is a thing in Korea. But like in Taiwan or Japan, very conservative. It's not a thing. It's very, you don't see it much. So even hugging opposite sex is not a thing there. And I had to reserve that. You'd be surprised, right? But I had to reserve not hugging people because it wasn't a thing.
Not so much anymore though, right? In Japan?
I don't know.
Maybe not, but you were so weird about it. So there was a point where we were going out. It was like in the first couple months that we were together. I actually dropped her off at the airport, and she went to Taiwan. Oh no, she went to Korea, and she came back 2 weeks later. And this was like during the infancy of our relationship. And so, you know, when you're in the beginning stages, you're like madly in love with this person, and I still am. But she flies, she comes back, right? And then we're supposed to meet up at this mall or whatever and hang out. And then she was treating me like she's never met me before.
You were a stranger to me.
She was treating me like she never, ever met me before. And mind you, by this point, we've already had our first kiss. We had everything. And she just treated me like a fucking stranger. I was pissed. I was pissed beyond belief.
I know. I thought we were going to break up that day.
Dude, she started crying, dude. She was crying because she thought I was going to break up with her.
Oh my God. I remember I had this flannel on that day.
So I'm talking about I went to go see her. I went to go for a hug and she gave me this weird awkward. I was like, what the fuck is going on, dude? We've been together now for like 2 months. And so I was like, all right, cool. Well, we're just walking around and I wanted to just like hold her hand as we're walking around. And she's just like, no, we can't do that in public. People are watching. And I felt so disrespected. I was like, first of all, man, we already kissed. What are you talking about? She goes, people are staring at us. I was like, nobody is staring at us. Literally, nobody was looking at us.
I don't know. Oh, yeah. I just came back from Korea. That's right. I don't know. Yeah.
Nobody was looking at us.
I don't know what it was. Like, I just like, I don't know you. What am I doing here? Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, and I sat there, and it was kind of cute because we walked outside the mall. I was like, hey, I want to talk to you for a second, and I was like, dude, like, what is going on? Like, you're treating me like you've never met me before, and we've been together now for 2 months. So what are you doing? And I was so upset, and then she starts crying, and then the first thing that she says, she goes, so we're breaking up. And I looked at it, and I got even more mad. I was like, breaking up for what? I was like, we're breaking up now? I was like, why do you think we're breaking up? What are you talking about?
I was like, this is it. This is the end of our relationship.
Yeah, I was like, what is going on today? I couldn't figure out what was going on. I was like, what? Breaking up? It was barely an argument. And then you're like, it's over. So I was like, we're done. I was like, are we breaking up now? And I'm like, what is she saying? What is going on?
Jet lag.
It was such a weird experience. I don't know why you did that.
I don't know. So long ago that I actually forgot about that.
Oh, I remember that stuff. And I still remember the first time we kissed. You punched me in my chest. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I did.
Because I remember because I made you dinner.
Yes.
Right? It was like these roasted root vegetables.
Makeup dinner.
What was it for again? Oh, that's right. I just remember right now.
I don't remember.
I remember.
What was it?
So when we first started going out, number one, I'm a jokester. Mind you, I haven't been in a long-term committed relationship.
So
hold on a second. So I hadn't been in a very long-term committed relationship.
Rude.
And so I was so used to joking with her on a friendship level too, even though I was really attracted to her and I didn't want to be put in the friend zone. But for me and a lot of the girls that I've been with, we've always kept it lighthearted and we joked a lot. So I just didn't realize the types of jokes that I could do to her versus my friends because I hadn't been in that type of relationship in a minute. So whatever the situation was, we were in a car and it was a joke where it started escalating into something that it shouldn't have been. So it was like, I dropped her off and I was like, well, you can leave now. She was like, fine, I'll leave. I'll get out your car right now. I was like, cool, get out the car then. And she goes, fine, I will. I'm going to go in my car. I was like, cool, go in your car. Leave. I was like, cool, whatever. And so after she leaves, I fucking jet off. Right. And I thought it was the funniest joke ever. So I was cracking up. I was like, man, this girl's so cool. And so I literally ditched her ass and I left her. And I guess like our date wasn't done yet. But to me, I thought that was the funny joke. And so we left. And afterwards, I'm at the house chilling. I'm laughing to myself like, yo, this girl's so cool. And then in Korean, she calls me. She goes, "야, 너 미쳤어?" She was like, and I went, what's going on? She's like, basically what she says, like, have you lost your mind?
I remember that. I was like, "야, 너 미쳤어?"
And then she went off on me in Korean. She was like, you think that's funny? Like, you just left me in the middle of our date. And I was like, oh, I thought the date was done. Like, I thought we were good.
Yeah, I remember that.
I didn't see.
I was so mad at you on the way back. I was like, oh my gosh, this guy, I can't believe he just left me in the middle of the road. And
I don't know why I thought that would be funny.
Oh my gosh. See, that's where I'm like, in this scenario, a guy's supposed to come out and be like, I'm just kidding or whatever, and then give a hug and then leave or something. But no, straight up, woof, with your Jeep. I was so mad. I was like, this is not.
Yeah, but you have a bit of a crazy side yourself too, though.
I didn't say I didn't, but that was pretty rude. So that's what the makeup dinner was for, which was worth it. Yeah,
and we didn't even have our first kiss yet at this point, and we've actually been together.
Yeah.
And so we. Oh, do you remember this? Do you remember?
야, 우리 얘기 그만하자.
No.
우리 얘기 그만해.
Do you remember this story? Do you remember?
No, I don't know. I'm so scared what you're gonna bring up.
So we were in K-Town, right? I used to live in K-Town in this. It was like a duplex home, and she used to love to play these like jealousy games a lot, and so we were at the house, right?
I knew it. Oh, that's something that I don't want to remember.
And it was on that same level of fine, I'm gonna leave. I was like, all right, go leave. I'll see you later. Bye. And she goes, fine, I'm leaving. And so she goes, I'm gonna put on my shoes and leave. And so she leaves my room and she goes outside, right? And I'm like, cool, I'm not going to chase after you. Like, I'm not going to, I don't want to play those games. If you're going to leave, just leave. And she was like, fine, okay, I'll leave. I'm going. And then she gets up and she leaves, right? And so I'm like, I bet you she didn't leave. And I wasn't going to go chase after her, but she wanted me to go chase after her because that's the reason why she made that statement that she was going to leave upset, because she thought that I was going to go chase after her. It was going to be this whole cute thing, but I don't do that type of shit. And so what I saw,
you suck.
And so when I peeped outside of the room, right, and I see
but
this
you're
girl.
peeking.
I'm peeking outside this room, and this is what I witnessed. This girl. This is how petty she is as a human being, which is probably why I love her. She picks up her shoes to pretend that she left, right? She opens the front door and closes it so it sounds like she left. She takes my shoes and she goes into my brother's room and hides. And then I'm like, this fucking psychopath, right? And I'm looking out there. I'm like, I'm not going to go chase after her. So I go back in the room and then I come back out just to peek my head to see what she's doing. And right when I peek my head out of the room, she goes like this. She gets up. She goes, yeah, you didn't chase after me.
That was the whole point.
I tried running away. I was like trying to close the door. I was trying to close the door on her because she was trying to kill me.
Why couldn't you just play along if you knew it?
What kind of psychopath?
It's not a psychopath. It's called playing along. It's called flirting, which you suck at.
Flirt? You
suck at it.
I literally saw you pick up your shoes, pretend to close the door.
Clearly, I made it very noticeable that I wasn't really leaving. So you play along with it, just like, na chababada. You know that. You're not supposed to trouble that person. But you go, well, gongchangna, and then you just, pretend.
I wouldn't do that for her, so she got so mad.
I should have broke up with you then.
No, you would have never broken up with me. You would have never broken up with me. Not over that.
다음에 해.
Maybe. Shinaito.
Do you even know what that means?
No, I don't know. I don't know what that means at all.
So
you've changed a lot though since we've been together.
そうだね. You too.
In what ways?
You're not as crazy. You're not as aggressive. You're not as hot temper. You're more chill. It's funny because you always tell me chill, but I feel like that it was for you. You're a lot more relaxed. Yeah, more relaxed. You know what's funny is that, you know how we were looking at some old photos not too long ago when you were bigger?
Yeah.
Your 인상 from then and now are so different.
What do you mean?
What's 인상?
I guess vibe.
Vibe? Like the vibe that you gave out back then, you had a lot of, it looked like you had a lot of anger. Surprisingly, because I see the picture of you and now and then. Like right now, you look relaxed. Back then, you had a lot of anger.
Yeah.
I think that maybe that's what my mom saw, because I didn't see that back then. But looking at the picture now, I don't know why you seemed like you had a lot of temper.
I don't know. When I look back on it, I think I was, there was a point where I was very, very, very unhappy. And I think it was because there was a lot of compounding factors. When you met me, that was actually a point when I first met you. I'm skinnier now than I was then, but I was kind of on my fitness grind when I just met you, and I fractured my ankle around that time. It was like super bad, and I just couldn't play any sports, and I started gaining weight. There was that, and then things just weren't going the way that I wanted it to career-wise. Not to say that I wasn't successful in other people's eyes, but what I wanted out of life wasn't happening, and there was something that was missing, and that's when I started doing that film. But that's when I started becoming a little happier, and then when that film disappeared is when I got sad again. So you went through this period where I was just trying to find myself artistically a lot, and I just wasn't happy with myself.
Yeah.
I
saw that.
And it was just very, very difficult, just kind of being in my own skin.
Yeah.
And I don't like feeling that way. I like to at least have a certain goal and work towards something, but I wasn't working towards anything that was making me happy. So mind you, during that time I was making a lot of money. I was very, very well off, but didn't really do anything for me, But you remember that time I was working all the time though, nonstop.
You were spread thin.
I was spread so thin, and when I would go back to Sacramento, I would sleep 14, 15 hours straight. Go to Hawaii, I would just knock out 14, 15 hours straight.
Yeah.
And it was just a very stressful time.
So what's the change right now then?
I don't know. I'm just not making as much money.
Maybe it's that.
Yeah.
You just don't need that much money.
I just don't need that much money. And I think, I talk about this a lot, and I don't know if people understand it, but money makes things easier. But for me, it doesn't really make me happy. And a lot of people, it might seem that way that it does, or that it will. And to a certain extent, yeah, money does make, because it frees up your time, and that's what money does. Money equals time. So that's why people equate. No, money equals options. That's what it is in this world.
Yeah, I was like, time could be.
Yeah, it gives you options.
Yeah.
And that's why people equate happiness with money, because I can remember the time when I didn't have money. I didn't have a lot of options, right? And I always stressed out about that. I was like, yo, I don't want to be this poor forever. I don't want to sit down and think about when's my next paycheck coming in? Can I pay rent? Can I do all this other stuff? And when that fear disappeared, I thought that buying all these things that I couldn't have before would make me happy. But when I did that, it didn't really make me happy again. So I was like, okay, well, what the fuck is it then? Like, what really makes you happy? And then I find out it's just, what makes me happy is just working towards something that I want to work towards without pressure. So like, and money was supposed to be the thing that allowed me to do that. But because I was working so hard to make that money, I didn't have free time to do the things that I wanted to do. So I was just in this very weird limbo. You know, what am I supposed to do? It's like, okay. And, you know, if you don't have a lot of money out there, trust me, I know what that is. I was broke for a majority of my life, and I'm not that rich right now, but I now am in a place where I do have more options. And people know I let go of my Tesla. You know, I haven't bought a new car. I'm probably not going to get another new car for another couple years. And I'm spending a lot less, but I'm way happier. So a lot of the stuff that I thought was going to bring me joy, I let go of that. And now you can even see it in me. Like I have less things, but I'm a lot happier, which is very odd. You would think that when you buy more things, you'd smile a lot more.
Some people it works, but it's not for you.
Yeah, for me, it's just not. Because I know a lot of people who do buy things and it generally does make them happy. And I'm glad that formula works for them. But for me, it's not. It's not the same.
Yeah. And I'm glad, because it was a very hard journey to go through that with you.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Well, why was it so hard?
It's like, in general, guys are usually just, same. Whereas girls have a lot of emotions going up and down because, X, Y, Z reasons. But I feel like, I'm already like this. And then you were extreme. So I had to be stable, to support us. And it was, it's tough to see that. You going through such hardship and like being frustrated about you as an artist and trying to go out there and try different things and come back and feeling like you failed. And the fact that I couldn't do anything about it, but just to be, supportive girlfriend and just make sure that, you're relaxed when you're with me or whatnot. It was hard because I couldn't do anything.
And I think me being angry all the time too, I just hated it because I remember the first time you actually ever witnessed me being angry. And most of the times I would never show the side of me at all. Like I joke about it a lot. And when I tell these stories, a lot of people don't believe it, but you've actually seen it. So the first time
I'm so glad your mom was there.
Yeah, the first time she actually saw me really pissed off was when, things weren't going right. So I actually put in like 10 grand into this Korean short film, this short series, and it turned out terrible.
It was a flop.
It was a huge flop, and it was a big part of it was the fact that I was very inexperienced. The guy that I used, he just completely fucked it up. And it was hard. It was something that I put a lot of money and effort into, and 10 grand's a lot of fucking money, dude. I don't give a fuck how rich you are. And to me, at that time, 10 grand was everything. It was like fucking like half my bank account. So I was sad. I was stressed. I was pissed. Things just weren't working out the way that it was supposed to. And this guy, we were driving, and essentially what was happening was like I was driving and this guy cut me off and he almost pushed us off the road. And so I swerved out the way. I came back in, and I wasn't that mad. I just kind of gave him the bird real quick, just flipping the bird real fast, not even really towards him because he was behind me.
And you were talking to your mom on the phone at the time. Yeah,
so I didn't really do much. It was just like, man, dude, fuck this guy. I just gave him a quick bird and I put it down. I didn't like scream at the guy. I didn't shove it in his face. I'm actually surprised that he saw it through the tinted back window. Yeah. But he somehow saw it.
Yeah.
And
he decided to play that game.
Yeah, and so he came up to me, and mind you, I remember what I was wearing because we were going to go to LACMA. And so I had like this chambray button-up T-shirt. I had this backwards hat flipped on. I actually have those pictures. And so we're driving. I'm talking to my mom via Bluetooth in the car, And all of a sudden I hear this engine rev and he drives up next to me, tells me to roll down my window.
No, right before that, you remember?
Oh, he was honking, right?
He was honking endlessly. It's just like beep, beep.
Yeah.
And that's how you notice that someone was honking at you. You're like, what the hell is going on?
Like, is it for me or just somebody else?
And
right.
I was so confused too. I was like, who's honking?
Especially because I didn't think it was me because that guy almost killed us. Right? He wasn't paying attention and he almost threw us off the road. So I should be the one that's angry.
Dumb butt.
And I wasn't even mad. And so, we were driving and the dude is like screaming and I just see him pointing downwards. And I'm like, what does that even mean? Because I can't really compute what's going on because I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
So I was like, is he talking
picked
to
the wrong guy, that's for sure.
And like being like this fluffy Asian dude, I look like a really nice guy. And I am. Like, I don't ever get this angry. And so, but mind you, I tell these stories about where I grew up. It wasn't a great situation. And so I was never a thug, but I grew up around a lot of bad people. And if I never fought back with these human beings, like I would get bullied and beat up all the time. So I'm not saying that I'm a thug, but I had to throw hands as a kid because I just got bullied all the time.
Yeah, that anger and the words that was coming out of your mouth definitely came from experience. It's not because you want to be cool or anything. That was straight up natural.
Yeah, and so this dude and I kind of rolled down the window. And even when I responded to him the first time, it was very nice. I was like, what's going on? I wasn't mad yet.
No, you weren't. I mean, before the windows came down, he was just like, pull over. Basically, he was making a sign saying, pull over.
Pull over.
And then that ticked you off because you're trying to talk to your mom and have a good time. And then, basically he got your lid off.
Yeah. And I just, like, I remember, I can't even remember what I was saying, but it felt like I was like a teen. I felt like I was like a teenager again. And I was just
You're
like.
in a different color, that's why.
It was something like, I was just like, yo, what the fuck did you say to me?
You want to come over and talk to me? I can't even do it.
I was just like, yo, I was like, you want to go? You want to throw? Let's go. I was like, pull over. So I slammed my brakes and I went behind him and I was screaming, pull the fuck over. And so, because he told me to pull over.
I think the dude was shocked.
Yeah, because he thought he could punk me. And he was telling me to pull over, which threw me off. And so when I went behind him, I went right back to his side again. And I was like, fucking pull over. I thought you wanted to throw down. Let's go. So I was fuming. And so he wouldn't pull over. And then he tried to jet and leave. And so I started chasing him down. And then finally when the freeway split, he fucking got me because he pretended like he was going to go in the right lane and he switched out left. And then I went off. So.
And that was so scary for me.
And I remember that moment because after I started calming down and I felt terrible because my mom was just quiet. She was quiet. And then all I remember was hearing her voice and she was so disappointed. She was so disappointed. I felt so bad.
Was that disappointment? I feel like she was trying to calm you down.
Yeah, but she was disappointed in me because I think she remembers how I was when I was a kid. And so, I'm getting teary.
I know.
Because like.
I couldn't tell if that was the cat or.
No, it's because like when I was a kid, like I think she was always like scared for my life because I used to always get in fights. And so like, I think like that moment was so scary because like, I was like, oh shit, like I'm kind of turning back into this person that I don't want to be. So all I could think about in that moment was like going after this dude, ripping open the door, having his face like right where that door was and just slamming it until his skull broke. And that's all I was thinking about. I was like, I'm going to kill this guy. And that's all I could think about is I'm going to wait for him to come out. And when he comes out, I'm going to smash this door on his leg. And I don't give a fuck how big he is. No matter how crazy or how much you know how to fight, I'm insane. So I'm going to smash your skull until your brains come out. And that's all I could think about. And then when I heard my mom's voice and she was so disappointed, kind of like teleported me back to when I was a kid. And I was like, and I promised her that I wouldn't be like that type of dude again. And then when she saw it again, I was like, oh shit, I fucked up. And I just sat there and I was like, oh fuck. And then you were so scared. So I felt terrible because I scared you. I scared my mom again. And I said that this wasn't the person that I wanted to be. And so like that moment scared me. I was like, oh shit. Like those were during the times when my mom literally thought that I was going to go to prison. Like she thought that I would end up in jail. And so when I had that like reflecting moment, all I could think about was I failed. So like I felt so disappointed, and like I get emotional
so much.
Well, because like I get sad because when I think about that, it's because you try so hard not to be a certain person, and your parents can do everything right, but and it's to no fault of their own. And so because you try not to be this person for so much, and when you see that person come out again, it makes you feel like a failure. And so that's the only time, that was like that moment where I decided like, okay, Mariel will never see this person come out again. And like, you really haven't seen that guy come out since. And it's because it scared you so much. And I remember when it scared you, it made me feel terrible. Like I felt like trash because you looked at me. And I think that was the first time I actually thought that you were going to leave me. Because I was like, oh, she's going to leave me now because she actually saw, you know, how I grew up as a kid. And, you know, I joke a lot. You know, I'm a huge jokester and I talk a lot about like, yo, I'm a little bitch and whatever. And I really am. Like, I'm not very confrontational. But growing up with the people that I did and the things that I had to do just so I wouldn't get bullied, it wasn't very nice. Like, you know, a lot of people may or may not believe it, but I used to get into a lot of fist fights. And it was just because like I got tired of getting bullied. Like I got tired of people picking on me all the fucking time. And so the only way for me to do it was just to throw fists and see what happens. If I ended up dying, then I would die. Fuck it. Let's see what happens. But it just turned out that I was just well, thank God I grew up to be like a 6'2" Asian guy. Yeah, you know?
Yeah.
And albeit I didn't win all these fights, but I for sure made it to the point where people would understand, well, you can't just punk this dweeby little Asian kid with glasses. Like out of all the nerds that you're going to punk, it's not going to be that guy because he's going to cause you some trouble.
Yeah.
And so when I saw that side of me come out, I was just like, oh shit, dude, like you really haven't grown up. Like you're still the same dude. And I was just so disappointed.
And that was probably the last time I saw you like that.
Yeah, I haven't done it since. Like I refuse. Like I like probably until recently with that dude when we were moving in Glendale to when I was moving into my new apartment.
I didn't see that part, but
yeah, but that was like after 7 or 8 years. And even then it wasn't as bad as that one time because all I could think about was trying to kill that guy. And I just...
Do you think you still have that?
I don't think so. Just because the other situation in Glendale was way worse. Like that guy was, he was a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
And I didn't punch him or anything. So, you know, looking back on those moments, it's just like, oh shit, dude. Like it takes years of just self-thought and reflection and therapy for you not to be that person. And so
it's probably what my mom saw.
I think your mom's a very intuitive human being because, you know, I told her too, she goes, oh, you have a lot of anger. And even when she says that, like, I feel like I don't because it's not like how it used to be. But I think your mom can see a lot of the turmoil that I've dealt with as a kid, growing up as an Asian kid around other people who used to punk them a lot. And how I deal with situations and how even my humor is angry, you know, but now I just deal with this anger by making people laugh. And so when I think your mom sensed that a lot. And she still talks about to this day, she goes, you need to relax, you know, let things go, let it go, move on. And so. And
probably you're like, you know, at some point it's like, yeah, I don't know what she's talking about, but you know, deep down there are still certain things that needs to be.
Because I get scared too, because
healed.
I think about our future, like when we get married and we have kids. And so I don't want my kids to deal with problems the way I did. And I don't want them to feel like violence is a solution for a lot of these things. And so when I get angry, it's not like when you're a kid in high school and you kind of tell all your friends about these conquests that you had where you beat somebody up and you feel proud of it. I never feel proud of that stuff. I feel terrible. I feel absolutely terrible because I don't think about how it makes me feel. I think about how it makes everybody that I care about feel. Because now it's not just my life. Something happens to me, you're going to be worried. Something happens to me, my parents are worried. And so even for my mom, like I still remember her voice on that phone call and I was like, oh shit, like she's so disappointed. And so I just don't want her to feel that way again. So every time I think about that, I get super sad.
That's how you know that you've matured.
Ugh, I don't want to be an adult. Sometimes I wish that. That's like the thing about growing up too. You know what it is? Ever since that Winnie the Pooh movie, man, like I'm like super hyper emotional.
You got so emotional after that movie. That's true. Like when you told me that you cried after watching that movie, I could see it, but I didn't think it was. I was kind of surprised how emotional you got. But it's good. It's that you're, being more attached to your emotions. Like usually, how you were before, you would block your emotions. That's how you deal with things.
Yeah.
That's why the anger came up. But now that you're accepting it, you're accepting how other people feel. And I think that part has grown a lot in our relationship too. Like the fact that you care more about how people would feel in terms of like the actions that you take.
Yeah.
And I think that's good. And I think that's where the insang has changed too, and I'm really proud of you.
Dude, I cry so much lately. It's unreal. Like everything makes me cry. Like I don't know why. Like every time I watch something, I'm like, oh, this is going to make me cry. And I don't even know why. Like it's like somebody, like when you don't close a faucet all the way and it just starts dripping water slowly. That's somebody didn't close my faucet all the way. Somebody didn't close it all the way. And so everything is making me cry because now as an adult, I can reflect on things a lot better. I can look back at my actions. I can look back and say, oh shit, I can really empathize with my parents now, like what they were going through. I don't even have a kid yet, and I'm at that point now. I'm at that point where I can look back and say, oh shit, this is probably what my parents were going through.
여유가 생겼어. I think that's what it is too.
나 철들었어.
철들었고, the fact that you're not as spread thin, you could reflect a lot of things now.
I'm thinking a lot more. And it's weird. Sometimes I get scared being by myself because I have to think a lot. And then because when I think a lot, I have to reflect a lot. And when I reflect a lot, I think about a lot of the times I messed up. So, and it's not regret. Like I don't look at it regret because I truly believe things happen for a reason. If I didn't go through those experiences, I wouldn't be who I am now. So when people say, oh, you don't have any regrets. Yeah, I don't. Because what's the whole point of me sitting here wishing that I could change something that I did in the past? It's happened. No matter what I do, what's happened. So it doesn't matter.
Do you regret about that one point?
I don't regret it because it happened. I don't know what's there to regret. Nothing happened, fortunately. But what if something happened? What if something happened then? What if we did get out the car and then I just got and I beat the living shit out of that dude? Right? I would have went to jail.
Would you have regretted then?
Probably, yeah.
Things happen for a reason.
And I can't survive in jail. I can't. Yeah. I'll get butt raped. Like I can't survive in jail.
Yeah. And thank God nothing did happen because I wouldn't have known what would have happened. That was early stage in our relationship. So, but I'm glad that, you have changed in a good way.
And that wasn't even that long ago either. That was like maybe 3 years ago.
I think every year is a lot now for us.
I feel like
moving forward.
I feel like, I think our biggest changes have happened in the last 3 or 4 years. Like leaps and bounds. It wasn't gradual. A lot of the stuff is like click, move, click, move, click, change, click, change. Because before I think things would transform slowly.
Yeah.
But things have been able to, I say, evolve a lot faster because we've reached like a certain level of maturity that we didn't have before. So we don't need to continually make the same mistakes over and over. So once we recognize it, it hits us really hard. Yeah. And then we try not to do that again.
I feel like we hit a lot of milestones together. I think we grew up a lot as we were together.
Yeah.
And you know what? Maybe that's the reasons why we did 철들었어. Things happen for a reason. I believe in that truly, that God puts them in places and bring people in our lives for a reason.
Well, that's an hour and something minutes in.
Oh my God, I can't believe. Have you ever cried in podcasts?
I don't think so.
You usually make people cry.
Yeah. I made myself cry, huh?
I know.
Or you made me cry.
I was listening to you.
Yeah, I mean.
Tsugai! The little kid.
Oh, Tsugai!
Tsugai!
Yeah. But anyways, guys. Oh, shit. We got emotional on this podcast. I didn't really expect that. I actually brought her on to make fun of her today. And,
you did. Plenty of times.
Yeah.
That made you cry.
But I like she's happy that she made me cry.
I like it when you let your emotions out.
Oh, you're going to hate it when it comes out too much.
I've seen that.
Anyways, guys, what an interesting episode of the Genius Brain podcast. Well, I will say this. You guys can catch us on all audio platforms. If you guys had the time, even if you can't watch us on YouTube and you guys can't physically see it, we're on all audio platforms, right? So we're on Spotify, Castbox, iTunes. And if you're on there and you could give us that 5-star or that thumbs up or whatever you can do, make sure that you do it. And, I'm here to be with you guys on your commutes every day when you need somebody to listen to or just have a dope conversation that you guys could peep in on. This is
cry with.
Or cry with. This is that Genius Brain podcast, baby. And that's what this podcast is about. A lot of podcasts, I feel, kind of focus on guests and their expertise. And that's not what this is about. This is just a podcast where you could really hear people talk. Have real conversations. You don't have to be a celebrity. You don't have to be someone that's special in the public eye. And everybody has a story to tell. And that's what Genius Brain's about. And yeah, everybody, we'll see you next time. If you want to catch Mariel, you could see her at her Instagram at Mariel __ song. And you could also see, here's a thing that I don't know if she's ready to tell you guys, but Mariel has a very interesting relationship with her grandmother that passed away. And if I talked about her grandma, she'd cry right now, but I ain't gonna do it. But you could check her Instagram out called, was it?
I could never say it right. My Harmony Story. My _Harmony _story.
Yeah, so Mariel is actually going to be working on creating a children's book based off of the relationship that she had with her grandmother. So if you want to see her on that journey, check that out as well. And yeah, everybody, we'll see you next time.
Janet.
Peace.